Coming up on the KOMU8 Sports Show, find out what the Cards did today for the first time in 2 months. And the Roses are red at the U.S. Open, while Phil is blue at number 2. All this and much more coming up on the KOMU8 Sports Show. Coming up on the KOMU8 Sports Show, a former Jefferson City Jay explains how his dad gave him the guidance needed to become an NFL player. Plus, a pair of Royals serve up some revenge against their former team. All this and much more coming up on the KOMU8 Sports Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the KOMU8 Sports Show. I'm Chris Trevino. Glad you're with us tonight. Hope you've had a wonderful weekend. Columbia's Carl Edwards had a big weekend. He earned the pole position for today's Quicken Loans 400 at Michigan International Speedway. Father's Day at the racetrack, and some of the drivers had their kids with them, looking on, watching the cars go round and round. Lap 64, Jimmy Johnson passes Jimmy McMurray for the lead. Johnson looking for his first win at Michigan. A few laps later, on the restart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. takes the lead from Johnson. But on lap 128, Earnhardt's engine would blow, and Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards would pass him for the lead. 3 laps left. Johnson, trying to chase down Greg Biffle, runs into the wall. And Biffle takes a checkered flag for his second straight win at Michigan. Won there last August. Carl finished in 8th place. He's still second in the overall point standings, 31 points behind Jimmy Johnson. The Cardinals had not lost a series since April, and with a weekend in Miami against the Marlins, owners of the worst record in baseball, that streak figured to continue. Marlins Park in South Florida, where the teams had split the first 2 games of their weekend series. Bottom of the first inning, Justin Ruggiano singles into right center. Juan Pierre and Giancarlo Stanton score. 2-zip Marlins. 3rd inning, Cards get on the board. John Jay singles into left field. Daniel Descalso is in. It's a 1-run game. Bottom of the 4th, though, bases full of fish, and Juan Pierre singles to right. That drives home 2. Marlins 4, Cardinals 1. Then in the bottom of the 5th, it's a hit-and-run play for Miami, and the former Cardinal, Placido Polanco, comes through with a double to right. That drives home 2 more. Miami wins 7-2, handing the Cards just their 3rd series loss of the year. Royals manager Ned Yost and his ball club against Tampa Bay. First inning, Billy Butler belts one to right. Eric Hosmer scores 1-0 in favor of Kansas City. Bottom of the 1st inning, ball game is tied at 1, and Desmond Jennings singles to left. In comes Luke Scott. It's a 2-1 lead for the Rays. But in the 5th, the Royals tie it with the veteran Jeff Francoeur firing this one over the left field wall. It's a 2-2 score. Then in the 6th, Royals up 3-2. Alex Gordon base hit into right. Francoeur heads home. The throw to the plate, and Francoeur is safe just in there ahead of the tag. Royals up 4-2. They led 5-3 in the bottom of the 9th. Tampa with the tying run at the plate, but Greg Holland strikes out Ben Zobrist. Royals win 5-3. They take 3 of 4 in Tampa over the weekend. A pair of SEC teams are playing in the College World Series in Omaha. Mississippi State won its opening game Saturday. Tonight, LSU played its opening game of the College World Series against UCLA. The Bruins in Omaha against the LSU Tigers. This is Mason Katz with a homer to left. LSU up 1-zip. Katz homered in all 3 games this season when LSU swept Missouri in the 3-game series at Taylor Stadium. The Cardinals drafted Katz in the 4th round. 1-zip LSU until the 6th, when UCLA gets a sacrifice fly ball to left. Brian Carroll tags up scores from 3rd. It's 1-1. Then in the 8th, 1-1, and LSU with an error by the shortstop. UCLA gets 2 unearned runs and had a 2-1 lead. Bottom of the 9th, LSU hanging in there, 2 on, 2 out, but Jacoby Jones lifts a pop-up to shallow right to end it. UCLA tames the Tigers 2-1 in the double elimination format. Earlier today, #1 national seed North Carolina against North Carolina State. First inning, Teron Sine singles to left. Trey Turner scores. The Wolfpack up 1-0 on its rival North Carolina. Third inning, Brett Williams doubles to left. Grant Clyde scores. NC State 3 and the Tar Heels 0. The ace of the North Carolina State pitching staff, big left-hander Carlos Rodon, and he was outstanding pitching in front of his dad on Father's Day, gets the strikeout of Mike Zoke, one of his 8 Ks on the day as part of a complete game effort. NC State stuns the #1 seed North Carolina 8-1. Former Missouri golfer Jace Long finished tied for 7th place in his first professional tournament on the Web.com Tour, the Air Capital Classic in Wichita. Long finished with a score of 11 under par, 7 shots behind the winner. At the U.S. Open today, final round play included 5-time runner-up Phil Mickelson looking for his first U.S. Open championship. Marion Golf Club just outside Philadelphia, the site. This is the 10th hole, Mickelson's second shot. And check out this. It's in for an eagle on the par 4 hole, and lefty had taken the lead. But on the 13th hole, England's Justin Rose putts for birdie. And he sinks it, dropping to 1 under, and he takes the lead. He had never won a major. Mickelson here trying to save par on the 14th. Does so, still 1 shot back of Rose. On number 18, Rose chipping for birdie. Doesn't get it, but has a tap-in for par to maintain a 1-shot lead. So on 18, Mickelson had to make his 3rd shot to force a playoff. He cannot quite get it. Justin Rose celebrates his first major win, taking the U.S. Open Championship, and Mickelson finishes runner-up in that event for the 6th time in his career. Well, families across the country said thanks to fathers today. Coming up next, a local product thanks his father for knowing best and pushing him to reach the National Football League. Many young athletes dream of playing in the NFL. KOMU 8's Peter Terpstra shows how one mid-Missouri athlete took the long road to achieve his dream, and all he needed was the help from his father to navigate the twists and turns.
With the 28th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Sylvester Williams, defensive tackle, North Carolina.
Some take the long road to reach their dreams. For Sylvester Williams, it was a road full of obstacles. Today marks his first Father's Day as an NFL rookie.
The biggest thing for me growing up was I wanted to be something great. I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just knew I wanted to be something great.
Williams grew up with 3 older sisters and a younger brother under the supervision of his father,
Just want to take it off.
Sylvester Williams Sr., and his aunt, Clorinda Hudson. Williams' mother, Melanie Carter, found herself in and out of drug rehab for most of his childhood.
Back then, we was both on drugs. So she decided she wanted to go a different way, and I took the kids.
Williams moved from St. Louis to Jefferson City just in time to start high school.
This was just a picture that I got from him.
Sylvester Sr. checked into rehab, and things were looking up. At least until his sophomore year at Jefferson City High School. Williams was expelled for missing too many classes.
When they kicked me out of school my sophomore year, the principal looked in my face. She told me, said, I think it's best for you to go and get your GED.
I said, what you gonna do? He said, Daddy, I'm gonna finish school. I said, so what you gonna do? I said, I've been telling you about the football. I said, just try.
Williams made a change. He got back into the classroom and decided to listen to his father by giving football a try.
Taking the field in high school was one of the first steps Sylvester Williams took to turn his life around. He started off just playing in front of a few thousand people at Atkins Stadium. Little did he know, he would have the chance to play in front of more than 70,000 fans.
Williams played only 1 year of varsity football for the Jefferson City Jays in the fall of 2007, and his high school career was anything but spectacular.
Remember, they're very athletic. I mean, from the front all the way to the back.
Chad Masters was the defensive line coach for Jefferson City that year.
He was just real raw. I mean, everything was just raw. He never played before. He comes out, he's bigger than most of the people who were on the field at the time. You know, and he had that, like I talked about, that base athleticism to him, you know, that was just there. But he just didn't know what to do with it at that point.
Williams earned a starting spot for only 1 game in high school. This is game video from September 21st, 2007. Jefferson City versus the Rockhurst Hawklets. The Jays defense gave up 55 points that night. He got a job here at Modine Manufacturing, working nights, making car radiator parts for only $400 a week.
I had nothing but 8 hours to think, and I had 8 hours thinking about where my life was going. And as I think about it, I didn't see my life going anywhere, so I knew that I had to get up out of there some way.
Williams then decided to give football another shot. He was a walk-on at Coffeyville Community College in Kansas. In 2010, he had 52 tackles, 2 sacks, and 5 blocked kicks.
Sylvester Williams, big-time player in the middle.
Williams then earned a scholarship to the University of North Carolina. 2 years later, he was named first-team All-ACC.
I always have been a big Broncos fan.
All under the direction of a father
That's why I know they're going to make it.
who loves the game, but not as much as he loves his children.
I mean, most fathers usually run out on their kids or choose not to raise their kids. But my father actually fought to raise us. He fought to keep us in his life, and he done everything he could, you know, to be able to raise us and make us have a good life.
How did you feel when Sylvester's name was called?
That's my name. That's me. He took that road, and what I couldn't get, he got it for me.
Williams took the long road to reach his dream, and now the finish line is in sight. Peter Terpstra, KOMU8 Sports, Jefferson City.
Okay, Peter, thank you. Williams will compete with 8-year veteran Kevin Vickerson and former Jacksonville Jaguar Terrence Knighton for playing time at defensive tackle. He is expected to slide into a starting role for the Broncos in the near future as a #1 draft pick for the team. We will come back with more, including the story of someone who competed in the recent Boston Marathon. That's coming up on the show. Welcome back, everyone, to the KOMU8 Sports Show. It's great to have with us from the Columbia Daily Tribune, Ross Dellinger. He's been at the Trib for just about a year. First visit out to the station. Ross, it's about time we got you out here. Thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be here.
Ross is from SEC country, right? Down near the New Orleans area, I understand?
That's right. Yeah, the Mississippi coast. Yep.
Very good. In the South, so your timing was impeccable with Missouri's venture into the SEC. And let's start there. What do you think, as a guy who grew up in SEC country and a sports writer I know in Jackson, Mississippi in the past, what do you think about the Tigers' first year and foray into the SEC?
Well, it was a tough one. And I guess it was to be expected, though. You know, I don't think anything happened that was necessarily unexpected, I guess. But it was pretty grueling. And you asked me actually earlier what some things I'm working on, and one of them is just the travel issue. You know, and that's just a whole other part of the wins and losses. You got wins and losses, but just getting to these places that are so far away. So just a lot of different dynamics. But overall, I feel like administrators are happy. But I know that fans aren't. It sure didn't seem like it. But I think as a unbiased person kind of looking on, I think it was about what you'd expect in maybe the toughest league in the nation, and I don't know, half or more than half of the sports. You know, it's tough.
I don't think there's any doubt. It's interesting too, talking to fans. There is still certainly excitement about the SEC. There's no doubt fans, for the most part, I think, have been for it. But I think some were surprised at how tough it was going to be. But you know, not necessarily you or me or many people who followed college sports regularly. It's a tough league. And again, not that the Big 12 is an easy league, but this conference is amazing across the board, even to the College World Series ongoing now. 2 SEC teams going.
That's right. That's right. And 2, LSU, one of my I guess my childhood favorite, you know, born an hour south of Baton Rouge, and then Mississippi State's my alma mater. So it's weird. I'll be taking the trip up to the Omaha next week. So that should be a blast, never been, and so hopefully my alma mater can stick around, and LSU, they can both stick around. And I tell you what, I wouldn't put it past either one of them to both make it to the 3-game final.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Mississippi State got a big win in its first game, and LSU, even as the 4 seed, might be the favorite for many because of how strong the LSU Tigers have played. But that's interesting. I knew you were heading up there. I didn't realize you had those connections specifically to those schools. Of course, John Cohen, the head coach at Mississippi State, is a great guy, a former Mizzou assistant here under Gene McCart and Tim Jamison, and the Bulldogs. And Coach Cohen will be at Taylor Stadium next year, so that ought to be fun.
Yeah, that should be something, shouldn't it? I forgot about that. They have that connection there. But yeah, John's done a good job. Had kind of a rocky first 2 years, but I guess he was kind of doing like most new coaches, changing the mentality kind of thing, changing the recruiting and the types of players, and he's got his guys in there, and they've been really good the last 2 or 3 years.
You were the softball beat writer for the Missouri Tigers this season, and Nicole Hudson, who of course just completed her senior year, has made Team USA, along with the former Tiger, Rhea Taylor, who's already been there, done that. But what do you think about Hudson's making the 18-team roster, 18-player roster?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. That's pretty good. Like you said, 18 players, the top, and basically the top 18 college players in the nation, and that's pretty incredible for her to be on there. And I think it's now 3 straight. Missouri's had at least 2 players on that team, and that's pretty incredible. But Nicole had a kind of a crazy year for her. She did a little pitching, got roughed up a lot. She had to kind of was thrown into the pitching rotation after the number 2 Bailey Irvin quit, and so but she did it at the plate. She held her own. She 16 homers and was 1 shy of tying the career record. So she had quite the senior season.
Really neat story, because she really took one for the team, so to speak, thrust into the pitching role, but was a great slugger. And of course her family had a business affected by the tornado down in Joplin, but that's back up and running. So good for her. And I guess, Ross, looking forward here, softball really has been the powerful team at Mizzou the last few years, along with wrestling. I always have to point that out, but of course the SEC doesn't have another wrestling program, so it's hard to equate. I suppose softball might be the team to really latch onto going forward with the 2 new pitchers coming in. I thought men's basketball would have a chance right away, but that was really a disappointing showing this first season. But softball might be the one going forward, don't you think still?
Yeah, I know. When they went into the SEC, I thought, well, softball's got to be it, and then you look at men's basketball too. I mean, those are 2 sports I feel like Missouri and the SEC can really thrive,
Hopefully it'll go in the right direction for the Tigers going forward. I know we'll read certainly about the softball team and others as well with your work. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Absolutely, good to be here.
Have fun in Omaha.
Yeah.
Ross Dellinger, we know who he's rooting for now.
Yeah.
But it's okay at this time. I mean, it's his alma mater, for crying out loud.
It's the summer.
It's right, it's the summer. We're back after this. Life often takes unexpected turns. KOMU8's Kamenechev shows us how tragedy changed one woman's life, but not her champion spirit.
Life can be shaky, unexpected. One moment, Shelly Frazier was running the Boston Marathon.
I finally got to the end, across the finish line, and I thought, I finished, it's done, fantastic.
The next moment, tragedy.
And then I was walking through the finisher chute and got just to the very end and just happened to turn back around for some food and heard the explosions and saw the smoke go up in the air. Couldn't really see what was going on the ground.
It took a while to sink in.
Furthest thing from our mind was that this was some kind of terrorist attack or whatever. I mean, why would you think that? Why, you would never think that. And we were hoping maybe it was an electrical explosion or something like that. And then not too long later, the second one went off, and I think everybody at that point pretty much knew that there was something bad going on.
3 dead and more than 200 wounded by the terrorist attacks.
My immediate family was extremely concerned, and I had about 100 texts and voice messages on my phone by the time we actually had communication with the outside world, that, people just asking what was going on. I was able to communicate quickly enough with people to let them know that I was okay.
It wasn't the blast, but racing itself that punished her body. Whether it's her knee, her ankle, or her Achilles, injuries have taken a toll on Shelly's running career, and she always knew this would be her last marathon.
It's been kind of a long mental journey to accept that I haven't, my run performance has declined over the years, and I finally have accepted that it's just not really fun to run 26.2 miles physically. Mentally, it's still pretty fun, but it's just not something I'm capable of doing comfortably anymore.
But that doesn't mean she can't compete. Shelly is a 2011 and 2012 world champion in bench press, and she plans to continue with lifting competitions. But because of Boston, Shelly's still leaving a very small chance that she may run competitively again.
And then when this happened, I feel almost like I'd like to go back and run it again, just to, prove that the running community is resilient and that something like this won't stop us. I mean, I'm trying to encourage my friends to go back. I'm not sure exactly if all of them are going to go back, but I'd like to, but I just can't.
The heart is willing, but while the flesh isn't weak, it won't be running competitively. Kamenechev, KOMU8 Sports, Columbia.
Common, thank you very much. That was Shelley's second Boston Marathon, and certainly a memorable one at that. Folks, that is our program for tonight. Thank you for watching. Scott Malone's our producer, Justin Ackerman, our director. I'm Chris Trevino. We appreciate your viewership. See you here again tomorrow night. So long, everybody.